Now I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Gayathri Shenoy. She has been with India's largest unrelated blood stem cell donors registry named Datri since 2012. She joined when there were about 16,000 donors in the database and they had just completed their 15th donation then. She has been part of the journey that has seen Datri grow to be India's largest registry with over 5 lakh donors, and they have just completed their 1,000th donation 2 months ago. This is a very this is a cause very close to her heart after a dear friend's son battled leukemia. She's a statistician by training and has worked with corporates both in India and the US. She heads patient relations for Datri and will do what it takes to help a patient in need find that life-saving elusive match. Over to you, Gayatri, ma'am.
Thanks, Pranjal, and thank you, everyone. You know, as I was listening right from the beginning, so I have a teenager at home. She's in the other room doing her own stuff and is a huge Marvel fan. And I keep hearing these Marvel quotes, all day long because that's what she does. There's one thing that came to me when I heard Siddhi speak, where she's, I think Marvel got it right when they said that heroes are made by the path they choose and not the powers that they're graced with. Siddhi, I think you chose to be positive. You chose to fight this and you came out victorious. So I think this, of all things that happened right now in these past 25 minutes, I think this quote is what is shining in my head saying that, yes, I know what Marvel means when they say this. So I think it is a huge honor for me to be part of this and thank you, Neerath, for, adding me to this panel. As mentioned, my name is Gayathri Shenoy. I head patient relations for Datri. I think everyone here on this call is here because our lives have been touched by blood cancer in one way or the other. And I'm going to assume that you've all heard of Datri, which is India's largest bone marrow registry. I've been with Datri for over 10 years now. It's been a journey from 16,000 donors to 500,000 donors. And yet, this is just the beginning. We have miles to go. We're still not able to make a dent in the requirements that come to us. How this works is there are I'm guessing through the journey that most of you have had, you know that the probability of finding a match outside your family is 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 100,000. And now when you apply that statistic to the database size, which is only 500,000, most of the Indian donors, the odds are stacked against them. No matter which part of the world they're in, the odds are already stacked against them because of the ethnicity, because ethnicity plays a large role in the probability of finding a match. So it is, we still really have miles to go. If you compare it to, say, the Caucasian population, most Caucasians looking for a match will find 4 or 5 donors. They are spoiled for choice. And here we are trying our best to find at least one match for a patient that comes to us. So while our job sounds like, we need to hand over a bag of stem cells, in reality, it is a lot more. It's right from recruiting quality donors, educating people. Actually, it begins with educating people about what is a blood stem cell donation, why is it needed, who are the people that need it, going to people who are healthy and asking them to register, to consider being somebody's lifesaver someday. And when I say people, it could mean a college student, it could mean at a corporate, at a place of worship, in your office, in your community. This is where we go out and recruit donors. We do it online. The pandemic taught us that we could do it online. But other than that, it is a lot of, meeting people, explaining to them why we do what we do, and getting them to be committed donors. Then they're on the registry. We get a request from patients across the world. We service transplant centers across the world. So once we get a request, going through our database, finding that donor who is a match. Now, remember, this donor could have signed up with us even 10 years ago. So we need to go back to the donor, find out where he or she is in their life's journey, convince them to go ahead and donate. And in India, it is still, because our families and because culturally it is such that our families still have a large say in everything we do. oftentimes it's also the family that needs to be counseled if there is a donor that has to donate. So Datri then has to handhold the donor through the donation, getting the health checkup done, getting the GCSF, the 4 days of GCSF, taking him to the hospital on the day of the donation, working with the apheresis center of the hospital to make it happen. Once the donation is done, we have to fly the bag of stem cells from wherever the donor is to whichever part of the world the patient is in. Even then our job doesn't end, because we still have to follow up with the donor for the next entire year, because we track donors to make sure that there are no lasting because we are also feeding it into a study which tracks to make sure there is no lasting effect on the of the donation on the donor. We also keep in touch with the recipient's doctor, and a year later, if both parties consent, Datri also has the donor and the recipient meet, which easily are some of the most emotional meetings that I have seen, because at the time of the donation, neither the donor nor the recipient knows the other. It's only a year later, when this is unveiled, that both parties get to meet. So but having said all this, I honestly feel Datri is a very small part of the entire ecosystem that is needed to support the patient. Very often when a cancer patient reaches out to me, or the family member of a patient reaches out to me, they've just heard this really life-altering news of the diagnosis, and they need help with finding a match. But and oftentimes they come from smaller towns to large cities, right? So, and then there are I don't know if Access Life is on this call today, but Access Life is some of the people that fit in into this need, helping house these people. Then they often reach out, because though they know that we are only supposed to help them with provided the blood stem cells, it's just because it is such a large, it is such shattering news sometimes, that they're still grappling for information. And then there is the whole need for blood products and platelets, so which is where the blood donors come in. Then there are different organizations that help support with the mental wellness that we just heard. So I think what I'm trying to say is, this has to be like a consolidated effort, where we work together as a community, so that the patient and his or her caregiver focuses on what they are supposed to do, which is getting better, while there is an ecosystem that is set up that enables them to do so. So again, I don't want to take up too much of time, because I know there are a lot of people. So thank you, Neeraj. I think um, I can just say I'm really grateful to be part of this. And again, reach out to me if you know of other patients that are looking for a match. If you know people who want to register and want to help out and pay it forward, please reach out to me. I'll share my number with Neeraj. I mean, Neeraj has my number. Please take it for him. And I think thank you for letting me be part of this extended family. That's all I have to say. Thank you.